Y'all crack me up. I haven't seen a product this polarizing or this controversial in a long time. Spend 3 minutes on the internet and you find two camps of people. They either love it or they hate it. And good Lord, we're just talking about a GMRS handheld radio. So let's dig into this thing and see if there's any validity to any of the negative claims or the positive claims. Let's dive in. I think the best way to tackle a video like this is to talk about what the radio is, including its features, and there's a lot of them, who the radio was designed for, the best way to use the radio, pros, cons, the things I like, the things that I don't like about the radio, and then finally we're going to get into the part of the video that I'm looking forward to the most. We're going to jump over to YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, take a look at a lot of the hate being thrown towards this radio, and see if maybe we can figure out why Midland made the choices they did, whether it be design or legalities around the radio. Maybe those comments have some validity, maybe they don't. Let's take a look, let's dive right in. All right, so when you hop on over to midlandusa.com and you decide you want to purchase one of these and you get it in the mail, what are you going to get in the box? It's a great question. I'm super pumped you asked. You're going to get a high quality, pretty rigid foam lined carrying case. You got a pocket over here. This isn't an unboxing video. You can find those anywhere else, but you are going to get a DC car charger with a cradle. You're going to get a 6-foot USB-C to USB-C cord, and that is going to fit into your wall charger that you have. It's a pretty weighted base, so it's not going to fall over on you. It's pretty handy. You're going to belt clip, and you're going to get a charging brick. Let's go ahead and talk first impressions really quick before we get into the features here. I remember a couple months ago getting this in the mail and pulling it out of the case and just thinking to myself that it felt like a high quality unit. The plastic is rugged and solid. Everything is covered in rubber. There's good haptic feedback. Things click the way they should. The tones all make sense. The antenna feels like it's going to be rugged and hold up. I think first impression wise, I think it's a really, really solid unit. And I think there's some features to back that up. Let's discuss the elephant in the room. Let's talk about it now. Let's move through it, get it right out in the open so we can start talking about the features of the radio itself and why you guys really came. At the time of filming, this radio cost $199.99. Now, I wouldn't dare to try to tell you how to spend your hard-earned money. But what I will do is challenge you to think about a couple things as we talk about the features of this radio. First, Midland's reputation, their customer service, the design that went into this radio, the rugged reliability of it, and the things that you're going to be able to do and the things that it brings to the market that maybe other radios don't. Now, from an economical standpoint, if we're talking about 30 features packed into this radio, it costing $200, that's about $6.66 per feature. I don't know what you want to do with that information, but now you've got it. Hopefully y'all don't mind, but I am not going to hit all 30 features of this radio in this review. That would take all day. I have places to be. You don't want to watch a 4-hour Midland review video, I'm sure of it. So I'm going to hit the heavy hitters, some of my favorite features, and the things that I think set this radio apart from some of the other ones on the market. So Midland has generously blessed us with 5 watts of transmitting power. Now, I'm not going to do a range test and show you real time. There are some videos that do that. I'll link them in the description below. But 5 watts of power is going to let you reach out and touch somebody up to 5, 10, 12, 16 miles on the most extreme cases where the stars are aligned. You're higher, they're lower. The atmosphere is perfect, but theoretically, it's possible. But in the environments we adventure in and the way that we're going to use the radio, that is more than enough power for spotting or for around camp, things like that. But like I said, that's the maximum that the FCC will allow, and that is why it's the maximum that Midland has put into this radio. One of my favorite features of this radio, and I kind of teased it with the demo in the beginning of the video, was that it is IP67 rated. So if you're not familiar with the IP ratings, it's just a way that they can apply a rating to products to show you how dustproof and waterproof the product is. So what you need to know is that the 6 in the 67 means that it is dust tight, which is not going to allow any dust, dirt, debris into the internals of the radio itself. And the 7 means that it's protected against temporary immersion into water. So you can dunk this thing, you can drop it into puddles, cross some streams, stand out in the rain with it. It's not going to affect it. It's going to work great, as you just saw. In my testing and in my use, I found that the battery will last 10 to 12 hours of normal use. The more you use it, obviously, the more it's going to wear down that battery. In your higher power channels, your lower power channels, you can make some good decisions to try to make that battery last a little longer. That's not bad. When you pull into camp, you can put it on the charger, and you're ready for your next day of adventure, wheeling, trailing, spotting, whatever you're gonna use the radio for. The battery itself at this point is not replaceable. It's internal into here. They aren't currently selling replaceable batteries, but the warranty on these radios is really, really good. So I wouldn't stress the battery life too much, but just know that 10 to 12 hours was our average. Your average may be different depending on how you use it. These radios are now repeater capable. You can hit 8 repeater channels on this radio. If you're not real familiar with what a repeater is, it acts as a receiver and a transmitter, and it's gonna take your low power signals from a handheld and transmit them at a higher power on a different frequency in real time. That's gonna extend your ranges out dramatically and allow you to really get further out there. This is great for emergency management type situations, right? If you have an emergency out on the trail and you are within repeater range, you can then extend your ranges out and potentially get help to where you are if you don't have cell phone signal, things like that. We also have our noise canceling microphone, game changer for me. I'm in a soft top Jeep on the highway. People have a hard time hearing over the noise what I'm trying to communicate to them. That's gonna cut out all the background noise and just have my vocals come through on the other end. Now you want to match your transmitting power and your channel powers to the environment that you're in and what you're trying to accomplish. If you're all in a tight group within a half mile of each other, a low power channel is going to work out great. So you have your low, your medium, and your high power channels all built into the radio itself. So you can customize the usability for the situation that you're in. It's important that you don't necessarily use a high power channel if you don't have to. That's just gonna bleed out and make it harder for other people around you to communicate. 9 times out of 10, your low power, your medium power channels are gonna work out just great. You'll still have access to your NOAA weather channels. Believe it or not, it's a huge feature for us. We use it almost every time we go out.
The severe thunderstorm will remain over mainly open waters.
In Florida, the storms pop up quick and they disappear quick, but they can be violent, and we want to know exactly what we're getting into. The NOAA weather channels allow us to do that. And as far as preparedness goes for storms at your house, it's also another way to make sure that you are staying up to date in the weather forecast if power goes out. Another feature that I really like that we've played around with and we can see a definite value in is some hands-free communication, right? So we have 4 levels of hands-free communication on here. I can think of like when you're on those hard obstacles, you got both hands on the wheel, you're trying to communicate with your spotter, and instead of yelling, now you just communicate through your radio without ever having to touch your radio. Who is this radio for? This radio is for the folks that just want a ready to run, grab it right out of the box and be able to hit the trails and go on an adventure type of radio. They don't want to mess with programming and matching antennas and all that stuff. They just want to grab a radio with a good warranty that's feature packed and go on an adventure. And I can see it now down in the comments. People are just buy a Bofang on Amazon, $35. You can remove the antenna, you can program it. Like I said, I don't want to have to go through the hassle of programming my GMRS frequencies into a radio that was never supposed to be a GMRS radio. Those things are like ham radios. I don't have much experience in the world of ham. There is some things to consider. The Bofangs have a lower quality transmitter receiver chipset within them. So you're gonna get some more interference and some frequency modulation there. They're not FCC compliant. A lot of people get freaked out and they think FCC non-compliance is illegal. Not in the traditional sense as I understand it. The FCC police are not gonna come to your door with a warrant, search your house, confiscate your Bofang, and send you off to FCC jail. That's probably not gonna happen. Basically what it's saying is that they have no way to certify that your radio is not going to interfere with other things around it and cause radio frequency interference. But like I said, right out of the box, ready to run, GMRS is in here. This is a radio made for GMRS, unlike the Bofangs. My second favorite topic of the video is your pros and cons list, right? It's the things that we do and don't like about the radio itself. Everything we've discussed up to this point is basically in the pro side of the list. It's things that I love, things that I think make this radio a fantastic option. However, there are 2 items that I really think could have been done better, at least as far as my opinion goes. The first one being the charging docks, right? You can't disconnect it from this large hunk of plastic back here that houses all the electronics. Basically, the radio itself fits in there. There's a satisfying click and a little bit of retention, so this thing isn't gonna fall off on you as you're going down the trail. Then you plug this side into your 12-volt adapter. If you're as old as I am, you know them as cigarette lighters. And then you basically have a fixed microphone into your vehicle. So a couple things that I have going on here. If you pull too hard on this, it's gonna come out. My 12-volt adapters aren't super grippy, I guess is the way to define that. So my 12-volt plugs come out fairly easy. And I think at just a little bit of tension, I'm gonna lose my charging. But you can use it while it's charging. What I would have liked to have seen instead is a USB-C port on here, so you could just charge with a USB-C cable. I just think it would have been less bulky, more user-friendly, whereas I already have a USB-C cable for my cell phone. I think that would have been a cleaner option. My other complaint about the radio is the belt clip. Some people love it, some people hate it. I know that I'm gonna lose this side of it. So basically what happens is you turn it upside down, you put the radio in, you hear it click, and now it's stuck in there. Positive engagement on the belt clip itself. It hangs a little low on my belt, and then I have the Anvil Overland bar where I hang my portable radios off of on my dash. This hangs down low. I end up hitting it when I go to use the turn signals and things like that. And I wish that it had the same one as my GXT1000, where it's just a dedicated belt clip built into the battery pack itself. Those are my two biggest complaints. Relatively speaking, those are very minor. And they don't affect the performance of the radio itself, so I can work around them just fine. All right, let's do the thing where we jump over and we start reading some comments and maybe talking about whether or not they have some validities, or haters are just gonna hate and likers are just gonna like. But let's see what the comments have to say. I would encourage you to respond to them down in my comment section below. We'll see what you have to say. Let's get into the first one. So the first comment that I saw repeated over and over was something to this effect. I'll read this one verbatim. It says, "It's kind of neat. It's just not $200 neat. They missed the mark with a permanently attached antenna and no USB charging directly to the radio." Let's hit the first one first, right? So they talked about not having a removable antenna. And the reason is because Part 95 of the FCC regulation states, verbatim, the antenna must be a non-removable integral part of the GMRS unit. So as far as that goes, they had to maintain adherence to the Part 95 regulations in order to get the unit FCC certified and be able to sell it in the United States. I'm sure if Midland could, they would give you a removable and replaceable antenna, but unfortunately the FCC dictates otherwise. This comment says, "The Chinese radios blow this thing away at less than half the price. $200 is hilarious for this. You need to spend $400 for two of them." I tend to disagree with this comment. We kind of touched on it before, but I'll reiterate it. The electronics and the chipsets within the Chinese radios are not as good. They are subpar. They are more prone to interference, both transmitting and receiving. They're more prone to RF energy noise and things like that. So you're really taking a step backwards with the Chinese radios for the price. There's a reason why they're $35 on Amazon. And yeah, you could buy a whole bunch of them, but you still have those limitations. If it had Bluetooth audio, it would be a perfect radio for the masses. And even, of course, if it had direct USB charge instead of a cradle. Bluetooth options, Midland has some Bluetooth options for the adventure bike guys and the radios that they want to be able to communicate with each other. So head over there. There is no direct Bluetooth option necessarily with the radio, but there are some workarounds with the headphone jack and Bluetooth transmitters from there. There are some options, so hit up Midland over there as well. Somebody said overpriced FRS radio, kind of a nonsense comment. The biggest bone of contention seems to be the price tag. Yes, it's expensive, but again, look at it critically and think about all of what you're getting for that $200, including the things that you can't see, you may not necessarily use, like customer service, like warranty, like reputation, things like that. If there really is no user replaceable battery, that's a deal breaker for me. Seems like eventually it would end up in my junk drawer with the rest of the dead devices. Okay for a cheap radio, but not for $200 radio. So as far as the battery goes, we did talk about it a little bit earlier in the video. It is a fixed battery, it's held on with screws. There is no way to replace the battery. They don't have any replacement batteries for sale on the website currently. It would be cool to be able to slap some AA's in this thing and keep going, but it is a quick recharge battery. There's a 3-year warranty with excellent customer service. I don't think you'll have any issues with the batteries. We've been running it for a couple months now, pretty heavily, and I've not seen any decrease in battery life. with our average usage, and I've not seen any issues charging it. I think we're gonna be okay there. Like I said, lean on that warranty, lean on that customer service if you have any issues. But yes, in the future, I'd love to see a replaceable battery. We could do this all day. But it seems like the heavy hitters are the battery, the price tag, and comparing it to some of the cheaper radios out on the market. I think you need to take a critical look at those things and understand what you're getting into with the cheaper radios. Promised I would show you how to use the repeater function on the radio itself. And I think it's important to note that there's some homework required for using the repeater. You got to figure out what repeater frequencies are in the area that you're using or going to, so you can make sure that they're programmed in your radio. If they aren't, you got to get that cable and you can program some repeater frequencies. There are local Facebook pages and ham radio groups and things like that that can be able to tell you that. If you just Google GMRS radio repeaters in your area, you should be able to come up with a list of it, and you should be able to figure out which ones you would be pinging off of. And then on the back of the owner's manual for the radio itself, it has the currently programmed repeater frequencies, so you can make sure that they match and you're keying up that repeater. You can't just go to channel 22, for instance, turn on repeater and think that you're going to be pinging off that repeater, because you won't. You have to program it in. Remember, repeaters operate on different frequencies than a normal FRS GMRS radio. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, do your homework, figure out their repeater frequencies and whether or not they're already programmed in the radio. And then you're gonna go to menu. Keep in mind that only channels 15 through 22 are gonna be your repeater channels. So then once you're in your menu, you press it twice. You can go down to repeater. Take it easy on me, I'm doing this upside down currently. Press menu once again. You have enabled, disabled, scroll down to enabled. And then say we wanted to use the repeater frequency on channel 15, we'd hit menu once again. And then you have off, CTCSS or DCS. You can go down to, these are all your codes. The manual dictates what they are. Choose the one that is most appropriate for the environment that you're in and what you're trying to do. This is going to time out, but each repeater channel, 15 through 22, separate receiver and transmit privacy codes may be selected. May the repeater channel you want to configure and press menu. Select the privacy codes as described in the setting privacy code section first, the receiver privacy code, then the transmitter privacy code. You cannot use repeaters in group mode. That's important to understand. You don't have to use your CTCSS or your DCS if you don't want to, but certain repeaters are programmed to require it. So like I said, a little bit of homework is required. Enabled. Now if I go to channel 15 on my radio, you'll see that I'm now flashing repeater and CTCSS code 1. I chose code 1 because I know in the area that I'm in, that's what I'll need. So I just wanted to make sure that this reflected accurately. But you'll see that we are now going to ping off of a repeater. I don't think it's going to work. I got nobody to talk to, so I can't really show you, but you can transmit. That's how you know you're in repeater mode. And then to turn it off, you go back the same way, menu twice, go down to your repeater, turn it all off if you want to. You'll see that if you go off of the repeater channels, it'll say low band, the repeater and the CTCSS stuff will go away. You get your battery showing up there, just like a normal GMRS FRS radio. Always end our videos asking that $1 million or that $200 question as to whether or not we believe this radio is worth $200, and whether or not, if we were spending our hard-earned money on it, would we add it to our kit, whether it be storm preparedness or adventure or both. In this case, it fits both categories. Our answer for that is yes. It does some things that no other radio can do for us. Like I said, we don't want to program a radio. Hopefully I was able to clarify some things for y'all, clear some stuff up, teach you how to use repeater mode, hit on some of the comments. That's just a fraction. If you jump on here and you look around, you'll see that, man, there's a lot of hate. But hey, listen, on your way down to the description to check out some of the things we talked about today, don't forget to smash that subscribe button for me. It really helps out the channel, tells me I'm doing a good job, and allows us to continue to make good content and for YouTube to push it out to the people so y'all can see it. Costs you nothing, means a great deal to me. And as always, I can't wait to see you guys on the trail.